So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to do this interview in what's becoming a recurring series to help introduce the populace to the Knights of Westmarch. Westmarch is huge, and I really want to help people, especially newer players, learn about some of their knights. So for those who don't know you, today I have Master Warrior, Paragon Paladin, Knight of Crown and Serpent, Master Rose, Master Hydra, Duchess, Dame, Squire, Ailanthus, Finvara. Did I get everything right?
You get close enough, yes.
Is there anything I'm missing in all of that?
No, not really. I mean, I worked my way up the award, so I have almost everything below that, but we don't need to go into that.
Fair enough. So, for those who don't know you, I think we typically just go by Dame Ailanthus
Yep, or even just Ailanthus.
or just Ailanthus. Fantastic. So, you have a huge amount of awards. It's almost indescribable looking at your page. So, when did you start playing Amtgard?
1995.
Okay, so been playing longer than I would say most of people at Wyvern Spur have been alive, which is fantastic. You have I mean, you don't even have a Paragon hood. You have a class mastery or class masterhood, which is so far
Yeah.
back. But
Yeah.
so what brought you into the game?
Well, I was in high school and a guy. He was
Oh,
playing, and so yeah, he brought me out, and that was the thing at the time, is how we got to meet
yeah.
new people.
No, I mean I mean, we internet is just starting to become a thing in 1995. It's definitely early, so I think that's absolutely fair. What was your first park?
Wyvern.
Oh, okay. So you started here in uh,
Yeah,
and it that was when we were. What kingdom were we a part of then? 'Cause I don't
that
think we've
was
been around.
Dragon's Fun.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we were a subland. We weren't part of their kingdom.
Oh, okay, got it. And so 1995, you started playing in high school, from a guy. But what what kept you coming back in, let's say, 2000, 2005, and 2025?
Well, it ended up being my whole friend group. Um,
Oh.
I met Castings
Mhm.
that first year in, and we were really good friends, and he was super into it. And I had other friends, and we all just played together. And then, we got together, we got married, and it was just kind of that's what we did with our spare time.
Oh. No, I mean, I really didn't know any of the stories, so I'm very curious about that. So it sounds like almost everyone else, it's the community that keeps us come back into the game, which I think is fair because you develop some really strong friendships, and it's great to see. So I think a story that I'm always surprised much everyone I've spoken to. How did you choose your name? Because I always know Atlantis, but I actually don't really. And I had to look it up. I didn't even realize you had a last name in the game. What made you choose both?
Well, so my first name, Ailanthus, is a type of plant. When I first started out, I played druid, and when we played monsters, I played a dryad. So I
Mm.
chose a plant name. Um, and it was kind of mocked at the time, but my backstory was that I was a fairy princess. I didn't put it into those terms, but that's what it was. Let's be real. Um, and so I didn't use the last name Finvara, but it was in my backstory. And at some point, somebody kind of put it in there, and that's how it started getting used. So I just kept it going.
Oh, well, this is a as much as I want to learn all of the lore about how a fairy princess became a master Paragon Paladin. That's pretty cool. So uh that's that's fantastic, and everyone kind of gets their own names. So naming yourself after a plant, I know is not the first time I've heard that, but it is, and I'm yeah. I doubt would be the last time. So, 1995, very different game than what we have today. But what, and a lot of our, at least the latter awards, most of them were still the same. What was kind of your first major goal in Amtgard?
Um, this is kind of cringy to say it now, but I was one of those folks who came out and I wanted to be queen. We didn't have a kingdom to be queen of, but that's what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was fairly short on the money side of things, and I wanted pretty things, and I saw pretty things. So I learned to make the pretty things. And, um, once I started making pretty things, there was really nobody around to teach me. So I kind of taught myself
Hmm.
and started getting awards there. And that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah. So, I believe, even though you did eventually become queen, you also were the first princess of Westmarch, right?
Twice. Yep.
Oh,
That's my favorite thing.
twice crowned princess of the
No,
principality. No,
twice first princess of Westmarch.
wait. Oh, because wait. Sorry.
I
Can you
was the
elaborate?
first,
How?
yeah, I was the first monarch of the
Oh,
principality and the first regent of the kingdom.
got it. Cool. And eventually queen of Westmarch.
Yes, but I've only done that once.
Oh, it was enough, I think, because you have the belt to show that. So,
Well,
uh, so it sounds like it wasn't. So I guess what was kind of the timeline? What was the biggest barrier to becoming queen or becoming really any of these higher ranking kingdom level offices?
well, originally it was the fact that we did not have a kingdom.
Mhm.
Um, Dragonspine was very uh, sparing about giving out higher level awards to people not in the kingdom. They very much wanted us to make a kingdom so that we could get those higher awards.
Hmm.
Um, you know, at the time, I was going for Serpent, and the only way I could do that is if I entered my stuff in kingdom level stuff. So I had to ship my stuff different places to get it seen.
Wow.
Um, and I kind of joked that, I had to make a principality so that I could get those higher level crowns because, well, at the time they didn't even have crowns, but they didn't want to give out a crown belt to someone who wasn't in a kingdom.
Wait, so this is actually this is news. So we didn't have crowns. You just did office a certain number of times, and they would give you a belt, or how did that work?
I mean, there was a sort of suggestion system of, this many crown points for running a kingdom monarch position,
Hmm.
and you needed to get 10 crowned points. But um, it was very much, it was a popularity contest. You
Okay.
could get awards and not be in a kingdom, but it was very much harder.
Right. Okay. Okay. I mean that definitely makes sense, and I've heard tale of different people's positions on the point system and what we have now, but seems like in general a good change.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
you you were saying that you were on the serpent path for a while there. When did you start pushing for knighthood? How far into the game had you come before you're like, I want that green and white belt?
Um, Probably 4 or 5 years in. Um, I didn't get squired until 2001, so that was 6 years in. So yeah, probably a couple years before that, but it was not. There weren't a lot of nights around at the time for me to go. Oh yeah, that's a big deal to me.
Hmm. So, oh, okay. So you'd start. I guess yeah. I guess the prevalence of knights has gone up with time. Uh, so when how long did it take for that first for the Serpent Knight to get? What was the kind of the timeline for that? From let's
Well,
say.
I was squired in 2001. I got knighted in 2003. So
Hmm.
about 8 years.
That's not too bad though. I mean, I've definitely seen people play for longer to get it, and that's impressive. And what was kind of you was that for a Master Dragon or
Yes.
Master? What was kind of
Um,
your area of expertise? What was your thing?
I was actually more of a generalist. I always
Hmm.
say when people ask me, I'm not great at any one thing. You will find somebody who is better in any area that I can do. But there aren't many people who can at least understand how to do almost everything. Um, and so, even though it was no longer a ladder award, I probably would have done better as a Master Hydra. And I really wanted to get that Master Hydra
Hmm.
because I thought it suited me better than the Master Dragon did.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I did a bit of everything. I did a fair amount of garbing. I
Was
did
garbing
some
a thing back then? Was Garber
uh,
a thing, or was
it
Garber a
was,
thing?
but it wasn't heavily awarded.
Hmm.
Um, I made a point of finding people out of kingdom to send garb to get it viewed. I was in college at the time, and I like to keep my hands busy, so I made suits of chainmail in class, in lecture classes.
Wow,
Um, yeah,
that
so
suits of chainmail in class, and that sound. I'm hoping it was less than the sound of clanging metal.
no, it was pretty quiet.
That's good.
Um, but that was even, it was back before Ringlord was a thing. So everybody had to go to Orchard Supply or some hardware store, buy a roll of wire, wrap it around a coil, cut them all off. I mean, it was kind of
Ooh,
old school.
oh God, that sounds awful. That sounds so terrible. No,
I,
I mean the knighthood is earned for
well,
sure.
that's the thing. I mean, we had to do everything, it felt like, from scratch. And so our stuff, mine especially, didn't look as cool as a lot of the stuff that's put out today, but it was hard earned.
Oh, that's cool though. I would love to see any photos if you still have any next time at Park. And also, quick side note for those who don't know, Hydras were a gosh. How would you describe Hydras? Because I was just at the tail end of them. I think.
They were for qualifying for Monarch.
Mm,
Uh, so it
right.
required at the kingdom level or duchy or whatever, it required 7 items entered in ANS with a passing score in 7 different categories, passing the Reeves test, and declaring for an office, basically.
Wow. It's a lot of work, and also prevent. I think, from what I understand, really pushed some holding office just because of hey, I don't have the time to commit to 7 passing scores in ANS.
Yeah, and
Okay.
during the more toxic periods of time, the judges might not want a certain person to enter or to be able to run for
Wow.
office. So you always had to make at least 8 or 9 items that could not be failed, basically. Um, yeah, and I
That's
did that probably 13 times
sure.
to
I
get my
mean,
masterhood. So
yeah. And now it's gone forever. Now it's gone forever, and it lives in
yeah.
memory in Orc. But so you were saying it took you about 8 years in total to get that first belt. What was and aside from hand making chains to make chainmail, what was the biggest barrier to getting that first knighthood?
um, I think not having anyone to teach me, being so far from the kingdom center, you had to really go out and find opportunities. They didn't just present themselves. Um, and there was a more toxic culture at the time, I think, of you don't if you don't like someone, you don't want to see them succeed, you find ways not to get them awards or to tear them down, unfortunately. And that's something that I actually really appreciate about Amtgard now is it's gotten a lot better in the letting people succeed and encouraging people to succeed realm than it once was.
Oh, cool. Well, that's really good to hear. It, and for those, uh, that's actually a kind of a good segue because not having someone to teach you is really a huge challenge, and I'm very grateful. I have some knights helping me out constantly, but you also had recently had one squire belted, and another is going to be belted in just over 3 months here. So your success as a belted family is flourishing. So what do you look for in a belted family?
Um, you're pointing out the stuff that has happened in the last, year or two. Um, and to be fair to both of them, they did all the work, and I just kind of came in the very last minute and made this cool family out of their hard work. For me, it's I want people who are excited to do stuff, um, and get along well and are going to support each other. Uh, I do not feel like an expert in most areas, but I do feel like my major skill is in helping other people accomplish their things. And, oh, you're good at this thing or you like doing this thing. So I'm going to point you in that direction and find you the person who's going to help you and teach you the thing, even if I can't. Um, so for me, it's all about personality, I
That sounds,
guess.
yeah. You want someone who's going to persevere and really be willing to push through, and that's really good to hear. And it's to your serpent belt in that you recognize you're a master of none, but as my old as I always like to say, jack of all trades, master of none, but better that than a master of one. So I mean that's the whole saying, and no one ever finishes it. And I want to remind people, it is better to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
Usually.
I don't know that I had heard that very often myself.
Oh, now you know. It's the
Now I
it's the full saying. It's it's like the uh, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. There's a whole
it
post
changes.
that nobody finishes. Yeah, it changes the whole meaning. I know. Give you a third one here. Blood is thicker than water, which this is not a Bible cast, but
Mhm.
it's blood is thicker than water. Than that, blood of the covenant is thicker than that of the water of the womb. The whole point is the deals we make with people in real life matter more than the bonds of family. Anyway,
Yeah,
this
cool.
is not a history of English language sayings. This is a let's keep going in the Amtgard. Hi,
Yeah,
changing the
but
name.
that's how you pick up interesting things.
Yeah, and it is good. So you have two knighthoods, several masterhoods, a paragon, a class masterhood, many other titles, many other things. What are your goals from here?
um, right now, mostly I'm focusing on that my belted, like trying to push forward the people who are belted under me and see them succeed. Um, I mean, I would certainly love to get more knight's belts, but that's just sort of making me feel better about myself. It's not really my goals, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
no,
Um,
absolutely.
I have really enjoyed being up in Wyvern Spur, and I have started to really get interested in more class gaming. And so I do have that goal of wanting to get better at that. Um, but it's a challenge, so we'll see.
Maybe we'll see some blue on that belt in a bit.
Mm,
Maybe
maybe
we,
we'll we'll
we can we
we'll,
can
we'll
hope.
see if I hold out that long.
No, but hey, no, that's great. And yeah, Atlantis is by no means diminishing the work of Atlantis' squires, but also great to have someone in your corner being an advocate to help you get over that final hill. That's good.
Yeah, that
So
is does feel like my main job is being an advocate.
that's cool. So in all of your time in Amtgard, and feel free to give me a top three or take some time to think about it, do you have a favorite memory?
Oh, that's a long time. Um,
Maybe in recent history then, or something within just just because I mean it's incredible when you have to like sit down and think about, oh man, what was this? And I'll let you know right now. I'm going to also ask about a favorite highlight from a battle game, so it doesn't you don't have to pick a battle game for first one.
oof. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's more of a general set of memories, but I was with the company, the Golden Lions, for about 10 years, and that was a
That was
great
the
crew.
I would say they're the second oldest company, correct?
It's argued. They call
Okay,
themselves the oldest, but there's another company that also calls themselves the oldest, so who knows?
okay,
Um, but yeah, just again, the friendships, fighting on the field together, um, which reminds me that's a good battlefield memory. So remind me of that.
okay.
Um, what else? Back in the day, before there was Principality or anything, and Wakehaven was kind of on its own, we always used to do BOD meetings at the local pizza, Round Table Pizza, and
Hmm,
that was great times. We would go take over their party room for a couple hours and just eat pizza and do business.
it's really cool. That's
Um,
that must that were you guys was it in garb or were you guys just regular clothes?
sometimes, sometimes, a lot of times it would be right after the field on a Saturday. So we would go straight from the field to Round Table for a couple hours, and we were all friends or frenemies at the time. So there was a
Okay.
lot of mixing. Um, and in recent times, I got to say, Clan Oz Knighting is
Yeah.
definitely my favorite. It's the first time I've run a ceremony. Uh,
Oh,
so that was scary, but also super gratifying.
the ceremony went, from my perspective, very well, and I remember really enjoying his vigil, getting a chance to really sit down and see. I mean, a lot of your family, but a lot of other knights really get to have a good conversation with everyone. So every part went really well, uh, and yeah, I think you did a great job there. Claw, not diminishing Claw in any way there. That's really cool. So, and out of curiosity, just because I mean, I don't think you're a part of the Golden Lions anymore. But uh, what did they kind of, I guess, what were they known for? Because we don't, at least to my knowledge, we don't really have a presence of Golden Lions in Westmarch.
We do not.
No,
Their saying, which they were super proud of, was courage, honor, loyalty, pride.
well, I mean,
Uh,
good saying.
yeah, they were a really close group of friends. Um, they hung out a lot together off the field. They were strong in Dragon Spine at the time. Um, and they were pretty much all around good folks. Most of them were knights, um, of various belts.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, they were fun on the field, hung out afterwards, just kind of all around good people.
Cool. So, and then speaking of the Golden Lions, you were saying you had a highlight from a battle game.
Yeah, it was Clan. I want to say around probably 2001 ish, maybe two. And at the time, it was a ditch and it was probably a couple hundred people on the field.
Wow.
And there weren't a whole lot of female fighters at the time, and I'd just gotten into the Golden Lions, and I would I kept punching through and then going along the back line and, stabbing them all in the back. And they weren't used to being an aggressive fighter. And then people started getting upset that I was killing them. And then my whole company suddenly was around me and just all of us together so that nobody would cause any problems. It felt good.
I mean, as someone who's really only done a couple like kingdom events, it's kind of strange to hear about this like major inner kingdom event where it's not just like 20, 30, maybe 40 people, a couple hundred on the field. Sounds like chaos, but an exciting time.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, the event was about 1,000 people total. Um,
Wow.
yeah, they don't have events like that anymore around here, at least.
Sure. I mean, I've never heard of a couple of thousand people in recent times, but I mean that's really an exciting story. And hopefully that your fighting skills keep up, so that we can see that happen again sometime at Fog, because we'll probably need you on the field for the battle games or
Uh,
for the feast games maybe. We'll see.
yeah,
All right.
I, my body
So
slowed down a lot.
okay, fair enough. So I think one other, this is getting towards the end here, but one
Okay.
really important question that we haven't found a solid answer yet, and everyone has a different opinion, but what does knighthood in Amtgard mean to you?
Um, it should be the people who can are the pillars of the community. Um, they have accomplished a ton of stuff and are now able to give back and lift other people up and be mentors and supporters. That's the
Yeah,
short answer.
I mean, short answers are just as valid as long answers. That's I mean, that's totally fair, and it sounds like you're living up to every aspect of that. And I think one other one that I always think about, but I don't always remember all of them because I know that there is a whole list of the. What I want to say there's 9 virtues of knighthood. Which one kind of stood out the most to you? Or correct me if I'm wrong. You would know more than I.
I mean, to be fair, I'm looking them up right now because I did just use them for Klenos knighting. Let's see.
And is that an internal document? Because I was trying to do a little bit of research beforehand and I couldn't find it.
Um, I mean, I just went online and picked somebody's list that someone else had made and then added or took away a couple of things, kind of thing. So yes, it is kind of.
Internal.
Let's see. The ones we used were faith, humility, courage, justice, mercy, generosity, nobility, hope, and prowess.
Okay.
Um, and one that's not in there, which kind of encompasses a lot of them, and I've been focusing on a lot, is grace. Um, so I guess that would be my answer, even though it wasn't part of the list.
Yeah.
Um, but just the ability to rise above challenges and forgive others their shortcomings and wrap it all in a package that looks good and encourages other people is kind of how I would put my definition of grace.
No, I think that's entirely valid. So that's fantastic. And I'm kind of, I mean, that's many of the questions I usually try to ask someone, but I think just with it right here at the end, is there anything else, any other philosophy, stories, parts of your history in relation to Amtgard that you would want to share with someone or anyone?
um I guess I definitely have had the reputation of being not a nice person on occasion. Um, and I certainly suffer from a certain amount of uh, narcissism, I suppose. And that
Okay.
my point of view is all I can go from, and so everything does center around me in my own head. Um, and it's certainly something that I have tried to work around or rise above or improve myself in that I we grew up in a culture of tearing each other down, and I've, especially in the last couple of years, really wanted to focus on lifting people up. And if somebody ticks me off, rather than tearing them down and kicking them out, trying to teach them to become less annoying. Sorry, that's a terrible way of saying it, but yeah,
Well,
we
this
can
sounds.
probably cut that whole last bit. I don't know.
If you would like to cut that, we absolutely can. Is there something else you might want to say? And even if this
Uh,
isn't something you want to say, have out there, I mean, that is a huge check mark in the area of humility. I would argue. Like
I
you're very much
try.
acknowledging.
Yeah, yeah. I
We
try to
can,
be self-aware of my flaws, certainly. And I know I'm not perfect.
yeah. What is it? Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, I will. Uh, if that's all, then I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.